My name's Katrina Barber. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm currently living in Los Angeles. I got into music photography by way of my high school newspaper. I was really into the music scene in Austin when I was a teenager, and so I would go to shows and use the newspaper as a way to interview and photograph bands and have an outlet to quote-unquote publish. I knew I wanted to be in the music scene from all those years photographing and covering for my high school paper. I kept shooting shows throughout college. It was really fun. So bands started asking me to shoot. They started requesting me at shows, and that's when I knew I could start pursuing this as a career and not just as a side gig that made me happy. It was both now, and that was really cool. I really knew this was something I could do when Roger Ho at Do 512, he put my name in the hat to shoot for ACL Fest for the photo team as an intern position back in 2015. Because I'd been shooting for Do 512 for fun, local shows for them, for their socials, and just knowing that, you know, Roger Ho put my name in the hat. That was like a really big honor because I really looked up to him, and I still do. He's crazy talented. But just to have someone like Reagan Hackelman approving me, it was just mind-blowing. And just my fellow photographers adding me to their team was really meaningful. I moved out to LA with my boyfriend, Will. There was work here for Will. You know, our lease was ending. I had lost my job at South by Southwest. And, you know, Los Angeles, wow, cool, exciting. And I've never lived anywhere but Austin in my entire life. And it just felt like it was time, and there's just so much to see and do and create here. The effects from the pandemic are definitely going to affect how I personally look at photographing events and shows. I think it's going to affect how other event workers feel about their jobs. Live streams are definitely, I think they're here to stay for a while. People want to get back to normal, but it's just not safe yet. I love shooting live streams. I think it's going to stick around for a bit. It's a different vibe since you don't have that energy to mirror off the audience, but you still feel it, and it's still this really cool experience to be a part of. Transitioning over to South by, that was a totally different job. My title went from graphic designer and photographer to photography coordinator, which is no photography at all. It's all spreadsheets and hiring and planning. So it was totally different, and it was really cool because I volunteered on the South by photo team. So going from volunteering on their team and not really knowing anything to working my way up, shooting on the Getty team, shooting on other experiential teams, and then finally getting up to working on hiring and like seeing that from the overhead perspective, it was really, really cool just to see all the different moving parts. So that transition over to South by was kind of this really long dream come true. My favorite venues in Austin to shoot, it's usually in terms of, you know, lighting, but also vibe. I love shooting at Hotel Vegas. These harsh lights and the cool, sparkly backdrop and their lower stage, and it just feels more intimate, crazy, and loud and clashy and just fun, and you want to be in there. Mohawk, obviously, all those different levels, all the stairs, all the crazy lights they have outside, those guys also have the lighting down. All the different levels that Mohawk has just makes it such an interesting venue to not only like go and see a show, but also explore it as a photographer and see all those angles. Mohawk is a playground for photographers. It's so hard to attend a show as just a fan without a camera. It doesn't happen because I still just whip out that phone camera and pretend. Shooting a show versus just attending a show, it just feels like it's still beautiful and I'm still trying to just be present, but I know there are these shots I see and I want to get, and I'm like, dang it, if only I brought my camera. As an artist, photographer, graphic designer, you know, whatever kind of artist you are, we're visual people and we see things and we're like, I could shoot that would be great. I'm definitely trying to just attend more and just be present, you know, just to, you know, for my own mental health and just to go through life and see shows not only through a viewfinder, but I definitely always carry my camera if I can, just in case. I love photographing anybody that has just that energy. Just really, when you can tell that the band wants to be there and they're just so stoked and having just a blast, you feel it and you see it in your photos and you just see it in your eyes and your head and your camera, and it's everywhere and you feel it. Some bands that are like that, A Giant Dog, local Austin band, crazy. I love Sabrina. She's such a show person. Getting to see them just go nuts and lose their shit, and seeing the audience lose their shit, and being front row trying not to lose my shit with my camera. It's just so fun. Bands like my best friend's band, Lola Tried, they're all over the place. She has so much fun performing, and it really is just a different world when you go from shooting something quieter and more subdued to crazy all over the place, jumping, all this stuff. It's just so much more fun. So I think those bands are some of my favorites over the years. A Giant Dog, Lola Tried. My friends in Duncan Fellows are really fun to shoot because you can tell they love each other, and how they interact on the stage is really just fun to not only watch as a fan, but to also document as a fan and photographer. So anybody who has that energy is just great.